Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo, and I am here for Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Ginga Eiyuu Densetsu, episode 66. Yesterday on Ginga Eiyuu Densetsu. Man, it has been a long time since I've been able to say that. I'm actually getting these out kind of consistently, so yay. I'm as happy about that as you are. I'm really sad that I spent so long not watching enough of this show, so really glad to be doing that. A bunch of stuff is going on. Reinhard and Fleets have made their way over to Fasan, and they're setting up infrastructure there. Yang is thinking out the various plays that he could possibly make, with new situations arising like El Fácil. Labello is kind of self-destructing, doesn't seem to be doing so well, and Royenthal has this there's this undercurrent of weird stuff going on with him and that woman Elfriede. I think it's Elfriede. And Mittermeier recognizes it and recommends that he just cut her off. And Royenthal's like, nah, I don't feel like it. Okay. All right, buddy. So, let's see, what else? There's something else. Oh, high ups in Yang's fleet. So Yang, Frederica, and Dusty, at the very least, are aware that Shenkop's daughter is on the Mesker base and know who she is. So that's interesting. And there are already hints at her being an interesting match for Yulian. Yulian and Co. are on Odin, and at this point, all we've seen is Poplin hitting on girls, which is pretty standard stuff. So they seem to be having a right fine old time there. I'm wondering if anything interesting will come of them being on Odin. I'm kind of hoping so. I was thinking in the last episode, because the new Sansuchi, whatever it is being turned into a museum, a history museum. And so it might be interesting for Yulian as Yang's mentee to get a view of the history of the Empire from the Empire side and see how their propaganda works. Because that might be really intriguing. But I don't know if that's going to happen. He doesn't seem to be the major focus of anything big happening yet. But we'll see. Was there anything else? I don't think there was much else. I think that's about it. Okay, let's get into the episode. There will be multiple versions of it. You can find picture-in-picture versions on BitChute and Mega, links in the description. Full-timer-based version with the full discussion on YouTube, as usual. So, there will be a beep-beep timer. It'll go boop-boop-boop-beep, and on the beep and the green light, that's the same frame the video starts playing on my screen. So if you're playing along, it's probably when you want to hit the button. Beep-beep timer goes here. Oh. Oh, right, he summoned everybody because they got the news about Lennonkampf. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Alright, this is big shit. Wow, blue, red, and gray. Perfect. He dead. Do they buy it? They seem to buy it. Hmm. Good point, Mittermeier. Uh-huh. Oh, this is so tense. Man, Royenthal, you're... Gokai Toa. This is a hell of a battle. Oh my god. Royenthal just went in on Oberstein. Oh, well, welcome back. Had to go and compose yourself, eh? Hey, Reinhard. So how do you feel about this whole affair? No, he wasn't. How sorry. Look to the future, eh? So you don't want to hold anyone. But will he accept? Yeah. Mm. Hmm. I think regardless of the reward, he wouldn't do it. Put that issue aside, okay? What else do you want to talk about? There is a parallel there. That's a big move. Big emphasis on the Kirihei's locket. Royenthal, don't do it. Do not give me a chance. Wow. And yours, Royenthal, and yours. These all of the power players. She's missing the church. Ah, okay, she's got it. I wouldn't count the Earth Cult out. Hmm. Better than fighting them on a united front. Well, ask him. Silver Baki is too good. Okay. Get back to work. Meritocracy at work. Yeah, you don't need to compete with him, just assist him. Great. Mmm. He's thinking about himself as well. Yeah. Yep. 100%. But who would be his measuring stick? For what one person in power can handle. Ha ha ha. Ambition. Okay. I like it. Yeah, a vengeance expedition won't help anything. It'll just stir more problems up. Okay. So they're new Mittermeier and new Royenthal. Except completely different, of course. Explorer, okay. Hey, that's pretty cool. Okay, bigger discussion. Hmm. Right. Gotta think to the future. Big power vacuum. If he dies of natural causes. Yeah, he needs battle. That sounds about right. Yikes. Yeah. It's off in the forest. Sad. I'm with you on that. Okay. A lot of factors. You want to wipe them all out at once? Yeah. But if they snowball bigger than you expect, it's not worth it. Exactly. Interesting. Anybody got any info on that? Oberstein? Might meet in battle. Interesting that we're focusing on Fahrenheit. He hasn't gotten much direct screen time recently. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Whoa! Ambition wins. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My seat's on my flagship. Ooh! Woohoo! Okay. Yeah, I got terror. Uh, yeah. Reinhard just did a return to form, and I'm terrified. Under the Golden Lion flag. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Cool stuff. I think the thematic thread of this episode for me was thinking about the future. There were a lot of little bits of these chats about the politics that were, I don't know. There was a lot of talk of what happens when no Reinhard, uh, and how can the Empire be set up in such a way that it can actually function when no Reinhard. And it seems to be delegation and privatization is what Reinhard himself is thinking, um, just based on the way he's looking at the Ministry of Building stuff, whatever it is, civil engineering, I think so. Um, the way he's looking at that, because Silverberky is like a perfect parallel to Reinhard from what we've seen. He's extraordinarily good at his job, extraordinarily good at leading that ministry, and has great ambitions. Right, he wants to become prime minister in 10 years. That's his goal. He states it outright. And Reinhard is thinking, like, how can we trim down his responsibilities so that this other guy who's just like your generic pretty good at his job guy can do his job? How do we trim down the other parts of this sector and privatize what's necessary so that it's not over, like, whoever's in that seat isn't overburdened? And this is really interesting, especially coming right after Labello basically, like, going into a downward spiral. So it's interesting to me that Reinhardt is thinking about the future in this way, and that a lot of characters seem to be thinking about the future in similar ways. There were some really interesting things with Royenthal here. So Royenthal in meetings is often somewhat argumentative, but here he really just has it out for, the way that I saw this, he really just has it out for Oberstein. Like, he's continuously trying to argue with him and corner him. And, like, Oberstein had a hand in Lannenkampf's actions. I don't think Royenthal knows or necessarily even suspects that, but he's prodding him in all the right places, which is really interesting. And eventually, yeah, he starts prodding him, like, is it more important to you to mess with people and test them than it is to gather talented people under Reinhardt? What are your true ambitions? What are you actually going for? And this back and forth is fantastic. I love it. Mittermeier in the middle, suggesting privatization of military power by them, and Oberstein comes right back at this because, you know, Reinhardt is therefore the only one who can judge whether what I do is right. And eventually, this leads to Oberstein taking a moment. Mittermeier wraps his knuckles. What's the last thing? Yeah, okay. It's just he takes a moment right then. Hops out for a moment. They keep talking. I'm aware that I was being immature, but why? Why, Royenthal? What did you gain from this? I don't know. And it seems like Oberstein is holding himself in, like these clenched fists before he sits down. He's like close to getting emotional, I think, and I'm not sure why. So he goes and he composes himself, and then the discussion begins again. There's huge emphasis on the Kirchheis locket. And he starts looking toward the future, right? Like, instead of crying over spilt milk, or in this case pining over for the bitterness of last year's grapes, let's look for next year's. So our crop didn't turn out well this time. Lannenkampf is dead. Bad crop. Let's figure out what to do next. Which is really interesting because it's a really smart thing to do, to look toward the future and see what they can do in this situation, as opposed to being reactionary toward Lannenkampf's death, right? Like, a lesser leader might give in to the like, well, we should just go and crush the Alliance right now. But Reinhardt is no lesser leader. So then they they rehash bringing Yang Wenlei over, and Oberstein puts it as like, there's no way we could accept Yang as an underling for you unless he disavowed everything about the Alliance and democracy and everything. And there's no way he'll do that, so there's no way he's coming over to our side. Which is good. I think that's correct. And I don't think Yang would ever serve Reinhardt. And what kind of status? This I don't think is a very strong argument. Like, what kind of status and position would you award him? I don't think Yang really cares. He would do it if he thought it was right, and he doesn't think it's right, so no reward is going to sway him. Because Yang is purely, like, I see him as kind of a pure man of principles, to his own demise, perhaps, or to his own detriment, not necessarily to his demise, but how narrow-minded. Yeah, and then Reinhardt brings up this parallel between himself in the Golden Bombs. I guess it's Reinhardt and then Oberstein. Oh no, Mittermeier brings it up. Okay. Reinhardt starts this thread, and then Mittermeier finishes up. how narrow-minded a democratic nation can be, and Mittermeier gives it that it's not about the system of government, it's about the people, the individuals, it's about the human element, whether they are corrupt. Because, like, a well-run democracy and a well-run dictatorship, who's to say, right? But if we've got a well-run dictatorship and a corrupt democracy, it's a little bit of a closer call, you know? The dictatorship's probably going to win out, at least for the period where the good dictator, the benevolent dictator, if you will, is alive. But yeah, this is a parallel that I didn't really even think about at any point, which is that Reinhard went through what Yang is going through to an extent, like being the genius in a society that is corrupt, and knowing the ways to fix it. It's just that Reinhard is so ambitious that he went for it, right? He went for owning the galaxy. He went for uniting everybody and overthrowing the golden bombs. And Yang doesn't think that way. He wants to change the system he wants to change the way the system is functioning without changing the structure of the system. It's interesting. But he has no way to do that because it's democracy. Really rough. So, you're going to go and hit him right away? And Reinhard thinks that you should just let the Republicans keep on going until they screw themselves over. I'm intrigued. Then this. Please, Kaiser, do not give me an opportunity for rebellion. Royenthal is like waiting. He's so hungry for a chance. Any sign of weakness from Reinhard, and Royenthal might snap at it, might pounce on it. And I think he's the kind of person who sees himself as lacking self-control and therefore has none, right? He looks at himself, he's like, I have no self-control, therefore I won't even try to control myself. And you could just not rebel against Reinhard, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think he's just gonna do that. Supported you, proudly looked up to your battle flag. Yeah, if you become passive, Reinhard, Royenthal's gonna jump on you. It's not gonna be good. So then Frederica is going through a list of power players, and I think she got everybody. But I do think it's maybe not the best idea to dismiss. Yeah. The Earth Cult, and what was Group E? Was Group E the people? Yeah, the former remnants of the Golden Bomb Dynasty. I wouldn't worry about them too much unless they team up with Group G. That could be wonky wacky, because yeah, that could be really wacky. I don't know. But now it's so complicated, yes. But if everyone lines up, bands together, could be a problem. Supposing Yang could in fact defeat the Kaiser, does he have a vision for what to do next? Does he have a thing that he wants to do? That's interesting. I don't think so. I think he might have ideas, but I think it's Julian who comes up with the vision for afterward. I think Yang is too much of an academic. He's got the theory, but I don't know about putting it into practice. I think Julian is that catalyst. Interesting. Wonder if he's being, yeah. Then we go through this thing with Gluck, and it's exactly what I was talking about before. Like, you don't. He doesn't need to compete against him. Reinhard is using this as a micro test of how to run a branch of the government. And And again, Silverberky is like perfect for this because he's so effective. He's so good at his job that nobody can really take his place. So he's a perfect analog for Reinhard in a similar position. It's great. Love it. Functions of the ministry will be privatized, and the talents of, but right now, the talents of geniuses like Silverberky, like Reinhard, are necessary. But later, we need somebody who's calmer and steadier. Yeah, interesting. But who is the Gluck to Reinhard? I don't know. It could be Young. It's a weird one. Okay. We'll be out of work. Ha 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 ha. No worries. I'll be Prime Minister of the Reich. I believe him. He's displaying that same ambition that Reinhardt has, but on a much smaller scale. It's a perfect parallel. So Lennekamp can't be promoted. These guys, I am wondering who they're going to be. Like, what role these two are going to play. Yeah, Knapstein and Grillpalzer. So Knapstein heads this asking for a vengeance expedition. It's not simple. And then Grillpalzer gets a note from a page, and this is really interesting. He leaves to rejoice. Yeah. Self-awarely, like, looks around. Also, as a geographer, that his treatises based on planetary explorations were acknowledged. Imperial Geographic Museum Society was permitted. Interesting. I wonder what role those two will play. Whether they'll come to the fore a bit. Okay, so all the High Admirals sitting around. Bittenfeld is generally like the most gung-ho of them. The most like the old Reich, if that makes sense. Yeah, so Mecklinger, again, we're back to this thread of like the future, specifically a future without Reinhard. Reinhard dying or something else happening to him would leave an immense power vacuum, and it would be like Rome of old, or other dynasties where the generals of an emperor with no heir like just fight, and that could be real bad for the empire. Real bad. You know, Royenthal would be in the fray, but I don't know who else. Yeah. This is an interesting piece, that he's a poet who expresses himself with his life and life's work, who doesn't need words. Pretty cool. And all of this talk about the potential of Reinhard's stagnation being the worst thing for him. And then we transition that into this sort of wistful, we've changed so much, and sort of a depressing note. All of these characters have died. A little bit of sparks flying between Mittermeier and Oberstein. Yeah, if they snowball too much, that resistance could be seriously problematic. Merkatz is still alive, and then Reinhard comes in. Yeah, okay. And then we focus on Fahrenheit when we're talking about Merkatz, and I wonder why. I don't remember them being particularly close, but it seems like this might set up for a Fahrenheit versus Merkatz battle at some point. Maybe not. I just don't feel like we've seen much from Fahrenheit's perspective. Yeah. So Reinhard is unhappy. He's torn because he's got all this ambition. He's got the power to see it out, but his ambition is tied to this idea that he won't be an oppressor like the Golden Bombs. And so he's super worried that by instigating military action, he's going to go down that road. And that's like that's Reinhardt's deepest fear. It's not that he'll get usurped or get killed by somebody else who's lusting for power. It's that he himself will establish the new Golden Bomb dynasty in his own name. He's terrified of it. But he breaks that at the end of this episode. Are you going to let history control you instead? And boom, it just snaps him out of it, and he goes for it. We're going to war. We're going to war. Unification of the galaxy is the starting goal, and it's the end game, and we're going to do it no matter what. Let's go. We're heading into Alliance territory. I wonder if what Mittermeier was talking about fleets not being ready supply-wise is going to play in here. If the Alliance has to hop from supply base to supply base, or if the Empire has to hop from supply base to supply base, because then Yang and Co could stage a pretty effective resistance. I don't know. He sends Bittenfeld out, and it's a punitive expedition for Lannekamp's death. And we end on a really, really hype note. I need no castle. I am the castle, bitch. Yeah, he's a man of the battlefield. And they've launched, and off they go. Okay. Well, looks like war is going to return to the galaxy. That's unfortunate, but it was only a matter of time. Let's see how this plays out. I've been Teeaboo. This has been Ginga Eiyuu Densetsu, episode 66. If you liked it, go ahead and like it. If you hated it, give it a big old thumbs down. That's totally cool. If you could let me know in the comments why you disliked it, then I can improve, and that's really helpful. If you're not subbed and you want more, maybe do that. If you are subbed and you're not getting it, maybe the bell will help. Maybe. If you really like this content or want a week's worth of Gingas early, you can head over to patreon.com/Teeaboo and get that along with other goodies. So, cool episode. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.